All those banks that lent out that money, everybody foreclosed. They owned a bunch of homes. My sister was a single woman, was a ticket agent for Alaska Airlines, didn't make a lot of money, bought a condo for 60 grand, and when she declared bankruptcy, it was worth 10. And I'm sure, maybe not as much down here, but if I would have been at an Anchorage Chamber of Commerce meeting, everybody at every table has far worse stories than that. Far worse stories than that about what happened with the real estate values. You're stuck with a $300,000 note on a $200,000 house. You can't move, you can't sell it, you're just stuck. You get transferred, you have $100,000 in the bank. People would walk into banks and drop their keys off. You got divorced, got a buddy at Penn Air, got divorced. Owed $210, it was worth $140. He declared insolvency, the bank ate it, the bank went out of business. Currently in the banking industry in Alaska, we've got almost 15,000 people. That's what we have now. 15 banks folded. All of their employees were gone. The banks that survived were the ones that were a little bit more conservative or had their loans spread out other places in the state, not pretty much in Anchorage and the Fairbanks area that this hit the harbor. Back one. Revenue dropped from the state's perspective, from my colleagues in the legislature. Here's what happened with the revenue. We went from 2.6 billion to 1.3 in a year. It was a bummer to beat Bill Sheffield. I can tell you that right now. Wasn't an easy job. You could be a Republican, a Democrat, you can like him, you can not like him, but that is a very tough thing to do, is to wake up one day and just watch it all go like this, and you have to come up with the money or the budget cuts. And when you cut the budget, what happens when you cut the budget? You were building buildings, you were supplying the ferry, you were doing all these things. That money went into the economy as a whole. So a lot of the people, I'm a Republican businessman, and a lot of my constituents, I'm a Chamber of Commerce kind of guy. They say, Ralph, just go to Juneau and cut the budget. Just do that. When you cut the budget, you affect the economy. Have no illusion. That money, you can argue whether it should have been in your pocket or in government's pocket. One way or another, it got spent. And once again, the example here on market value in 2006 on how much we're infected by that one commodity that we have coming out of the ground up there compared to everything else for all the money that's circulating around. A lot of things are a lot different now. The Constitutional Budget Reserve was created by the voters of Alaska after this crash. And the original intent of the Constitutional Budget Reserve was to make sure that state government could have not these massive cuts, so you didn't have up and down for services, and protect the economy, so you didn't cut $500 million in the capital budget in 1 year. That was the intent of the Constitutional Budget Reserve. And as oil production declined, and declined and declined, what happened in reality was it would use it to prop it up. Prices weren't going up and down. You just got further and further in the hole until now we've got $2 billion left. We've spent $6 billion. So all we did was want to prop up state spending. And it's not, those people in the legislature, and you can go back to Governor Hickel and Governor Knowles, there's no bad guy here. You don't want to have billion-dollar deficit or budget cuts in 1 year. You don't want to have shocks to the economy. But that CBR, it will run out eventually. And right now we're pretty flush with prices right now, so we're not using it. But every year, production declined 6%. When I started in office 5 years ago, we were at 1 million barrels a day. Last year we're at 750. DOR is now projected 720. And despite the fact that some of these smaller fields coming online right now, every year it's a 6% decline. So the price is saving us, and the price has hidden a lot of these problems that I've tried to outline in this presentation. But if the price drops, that's bad. If the price does not drop, the production decline is going to get us eventually anywhere. And it won't be this year, and it won't be next year, and in my view, it has, you can argue on the oil tax bill or argue up here, and that's not what I'm here to discuss right now. The production decline 10 years from now is going to create problems in here. You're going to have some very difficult questions to answer as Alaskans. What do you want to do? What kind of economy do you want to see? The federal government largesse will continue to decline, and oil production will continue to decline. We have problems coming up. And I hope that if you can take nothing away from this, we don't need to fix these problems this year, but you need to be discussing them as a community. Back one more. And I want to talk a little bit about the 8A corporations, which is another, not a complete function of the power that our congressional delegation has, but it is related somewhat. And right now, the native corporations have the ability to go out, they get outside money, they make profits outside, and they bring them into our economy. They distribute them to shareholders, or their value goes up, the market cap goes up. However you want to do it is fine, but it is profits from the outside and making our pie of an economy bigger. 8A is a nationwide program. There are a lot of little parts of 8A that are Alaska specific, and they are on the radar screen of the United States Senate. I went through the oil production decline. The high price of oil right now, you all know what's happened to your heating bill. I know that at Penn Air in my business, the price of avgas in King Cove down by Cold Bay is probably up to $6, $7 a gallon now. I don't know what, in the 29 villages that Mary represents, I can't imagine what heating oil is. So you have probably the poorest part of the state paying prices that are ungodly. I mean, it is unbelievable. So it's a two-edged sword. And right now, we go up there and we argue about municipal revenue sharing and how to allocate these monies back and forth. But when the production declines and you don't have the money to have that argument, what kind of policy choices 6 and 7 years from now will you be facing? You want to subsidize a village in western Alaska, or you want to subsidize even Anchorage or Ketchikan or wherever. There won't be the money, and those political arguments on subsidization of energy costs will become extremely politically problematic. My constituent gets a tax, so Mary's gets a break in the villages. But the reality is, if you're paying $8 a gallon for heating oil, you have to do something. And that problem is bad now. It is going to be worse in 8 years if the price goes up. If the price drops, we won't have as much money. Either way, it is a two-edged sword on the high price of energy. It's way easier to be a legislator right now. I can't imagine what it was like at $9 a barrel, but it's way easier now than it was at 30. We can argue about how much we're going to save. But what happens when the production declines where the price doesn't matter anymore? I fear you will see a divisive Alaska on who pays and who gets more so. I would hope that we would come together as one community, but it will create political problems that we have not seen in quite some time. Go on. There are some things on the other third right now. Anchorage is the busiest cargo airport in the world as far as the volume going in there. There are 10,000 jobs at the Anchorage airport that are dependent on that. You sell fuel, you have the FedEx sorting facility and UPS sorting facility. So there's a lot of bright things in that one small sector in Anchorage only. Mining, price of gold is up. Environmental regulations, environmental lawsuits, they're not going to go away. You see a dispute right now over Pebble Mine that you can agree or disagree with mining, but the dispute is before they even entered the process. And you all know, I don't have to tell you about Kensington. The problem with mining even moving forward at all isn't going to go away.